everybody, my name is Barry Johns. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Studio Talk. IK Multimedia is about ready to release a brand new plugin that has what they call AI machine learning. Okay, and what that is it's going to be able to model your guitar amps in your studio just like a Kemper does. Let's get to it. All right. So some of you out there use real tube amps and some of you use modelers as an example. Now your typical modeler, IK Multimedia makes software-based modeling guitar amp manufacturing, as well as some other players out there. Then you've got the hardware pieces like the Axe FX, the Quad Cortex, and the Line 6 Helix being the most popular of modelers. Now, people like to think the Kemper's a modeler, and the Kemper is not a modeler. It's not even remotely close to being a modeler. The technology for how the Kemper gets its sound is radically different than the modelers use. I think the closest example that I would probably use would be, it's kind of like a sampler when you're sampling something. What it's doing is taking a snapshot of that guitar amp at that moment and that time, so you can come back and be able to recreate exactly what that amp sounded like on that day through that amp, through the speaker in that amp, the microphones that are chosen, and of course the interfaces and mic preamp. All that is a combination of what you're going to hear in the recording, because that's what you would hear if you're recording a real amp, right? You know, it's really the same thing conceptually was, okay? And so that's what the Kemper gives me as an example. I'm a huge Kemper fan. Now, I've owned the Axe FX and I've owned the Line 6 Helix, and I currently own the Kemper, and the Kemper, without question to me, dominates if you're a purist. If you absolutely have to have, a guitar tone that is as close as humanly possible to the sound of that actual real tube amp, to this point, to this date, I don't think anybody does that as good as Kemper does. Now, if you want the flexibility, being able to dial in your own tones and really get some, quite frankly, some really outstanding tones, okay? That's where your Axe FX, your Helix, and your Quad Cortex come in. Now, the Quad Cortex does have a combination of both of these things, and I've still yet to actually play a Quad Cortex, and I am excited about that. That one kind of gets me going a little bit. And the one thing that gets me going about it is, one, they're incredibly good at doing amp modeling, but on top of that, you can also clone or profile your own amps with that too. So what we're going to talk about today is the actual preview. Look, this plugin is not out yet with IK Multimedia. And so before we talk about it, let me just kind of play you their promotional video, and let's kind of go through that, and then we'll come back and continue the discussion. Okay, so in there, that's just a promo. I'm not quite sure when this particular plugin is going to come out, and I don't know anything about the cost. For the record, IK Multimedia has no idea I'm making this video. I have no intentions of sharing this video before I post it, and I'm certainly not getting paid or influenced in any way for making this video. And I got to say that and get it out of the way. It's not going to really matter at the end of the day because it's kind of be a moot point because this plugin is not out yet, so I can't properly demonstrate it for you other than what we just heard there. But let's talk about what we heard. So let's talk about the elephant in the room to me. Now, the examples in this particular video, I think you've got to come out with this with two schools of thought. One being, can I get a very usable, a very great sounding guitar sound out of this based upon what I heard in their promotional video, right? Or am I going to get all hung up on it? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting hung up on this. Lord knows I've spent a lot of time getting hung up on this stuff. Or am I going to get hung up as did that sound exactly like that recorded guitar amp? In their example, it was really close, but it was not exact, in my opinion. I'm not sure what your opinion is, but in my opinion, it was not exact. Now, what I will say is it sounds really good, okay? And I could use any of those, and I'm not going to get all hung up and quite frankly all stuck up on thinking I've got to go through the process of miking a real tube amp. I used to have a bunch of high-end boutique guitar combo amps, heads, combination cabinets, the whole nine. I had a lot of them, and within 6 months of owning my Kemper, all of them went up for sale. I saw zero value in it for me, for my workflow. Now, because I primarily am recording guitar most of the time or just playing here in my studio, I never have a need for a cranked up guitar amp ever, and I don't get all hung up on the whole touch feel thing. I think that's a very subjective thing. I'm not going to say somebody's wrong for saying that because everybody's different, but it's never fazed me for a second. So what's so important about this plugin and why am I even wasting the time making this video considering it's not even out yet? And if you're thinking I'm doing this for clicker views, you really not watched my channel, you don't know much about it, that is the last thing I care about, okay? I'm out for informing people and giving people intellectual things to really think about to help them make their decisions. So let's talk about this. Again, I don't know the price of this. You're going to use this. There's some accessories you're going to have with this plugin when it does get released. And you're going to have a reamp box, a device that will enable you to get the impedance of that signal coming out of your DAW that goes back into the input of your guitar amp. And if you're not familiar with how you go about these things, is you would record the guitar part in your DAW, right? And you can use, and I assume this will come with an amp sim just to let you get it down, or if not, use another one. That will be an interesting question I guess I'll have. But you're going to record that, okay? So now you're just going to have a dry guitar signal with nothing on it on your track, okay? Then you're going to send that out of your output of your interface, connect that to a reamp box preferably, and then come out of that reamp box and connect it to the input of your guitar amp. When you get that, then what's happening is what you played is now as if you're standing in front of that guitar amp playing, and then you tweak that amp and you dial it in and get it set to where you like that tone, and then I would assume you go through the profile process. It's very similar to how you do it with the Kemper in concept. Okay, again, I'm not, the way of doing it is that how they go about it, I have no idea if they're similar or not. Doesn't really matter because all this guy cares about is the end result. So you are going to need to have that. So a good quality reamp box isn't going to cost you more than $100, give or take. It depends on how much smoke and mirrors you want to get into, but you will need one because you want to get that impedance right. Okay, if you're doing this, you already have an interface, so we're not going to count that. So, you know, $100 or so for a reamp box, and let's say this plugin costs $200. You got $300 into it. I doubt they're going to charge that much, but if it's as good as a Kemper, it'll be worth that much, in my opinion, even more. Because a Kemper is basically $1,800, $1,800 for a Kemper, right? To be able to end up with the same thing. Now, that's a huge difference. Now, again, this only comes into play for recording. You know, a Kemper, if I'm playing live, and I don't, but if I'm playing live, I could take that out and play live with it and go wherever I want, just like a regular amp, as long as I've got a powered monitor to play through, okay? Or some type of amplification device, or just flat out in-ear monitors, however we're going to do that. But I can just take that out and go play with it, just like everybody does with a Line 6 Helix or a Fractal Axe-Fx or anything else like that. This, I would never trust taking a laptop or something like that and relying upon that for my guitar sound. I just wouldn't count on the fact that the computer wouldn't crash me in the middle. I've never had a crash in my Kemper, not once. So the practical application, if you're like me and you do the majority of it in your studio, this is kind of potentially a huge money saver. Because what'll happen with this, assuming that it sounds as good as I hope it does, what'll happen with this is everybody else will start making profiles of amps and selling them, just like they do for the Kemper. You've got side businesses popping up that are profiling all these killer amps in every combination possible to enable you to be able to have just about any amp tone at your fingertips whenever you want, okay? And that is exciting. So if this is as good as a Kemper, I'm going to be sold immediately just for the flexibility of it, if anything else, so I can do it wherever I go. So IK Multimedia, you've been known for doing some good stuff, brothers and sisters, okay? So I'm hoping this is a good one. Now, for all my viewers out there, I promise you that as soon as it comes out, I'm going to be profiling 4 or 5 different amps. I'll take it and go over to my buddy's house, and he's got a bunch of amps and everything, and I'll profile his amps to see what that sounds like, and I'll bring that back to you and demonstrate that for you in the real world, not this perfect setting that we're going to see most likely from all these various folks out there, you know, doing these videos when it comes out. So I'll be doing that for you. If you're curious what this guitar is, this is a Paul Reed Smith 594. You're probably, if you're a guitar player, you're probably saying, what's up with those pickups, Barry, in that 594? I don't remember ever seeing anything like that, and they don't look like PRS pickups. Well, they're not, okay? They're actually Sir pickups. They're the Doug Aldrich pickups, okay? I've also got a pair of Fluent Fishmans that I plan to try in this at some point. I got to get around to it, but that's a complex wiring. Maybe I'll do a video on that when I do that. A lot of soldering going on with that bad boy, a lot of flexibility. But I love this guitar. It's a great guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. I just don't like the light, what do you call it, the LT version, what is it, 1585 or 8515, something like that. The LT version, which is a lower output, it's too low of output for me, and it's just not my thing. Obviously, you can tell I put Doug Aldrich pickups in it, okay? So anyway, love it, in case you're curious about that. So I don't know if you're excited about at least finding out about where we're going, because this AI stuff is going to keep coming out more and more and more, which is one of the reasons we're really seeing plug-in manufacturers are really going to be able to start to amp up the quality to the point to where we are very, very, very close, in this guy's opinion, to truly in every aspect of what we do. You know, it's probably another 5 years away, but not much longer than that, in this guy's opinion, where you will not be able to tell the difference between any piece of hardware, okay, and the digital emulation. We're getting that close, and we're really darn close right now anyway, okay? But anyway, I don't know how you feel about that. So I hope you like this video. Again, it's kind of it's a preview more than anything else, more open to discussion. If anything else, just get you a little, if you're a guitar player, get you excited about the idea of it. Or you can say, that ain't for me, Barry. I'm going on to something else. I got to go find me a new Bogner or a Friedman or a Sir or blah, 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 whatever it may be. Gonna buy. Train wreck. Got to get a train. Got to get yourself a train wreck, okay? I could go on and name these guitar amps all freaking day. All right. Anyway, until next time, I hope every one of you have a great day. But until you do me a favor, because I got out of order here. Hit that subscribe, notification bell so you know I got a new video out. Now, if you want to have a great day, go have a great day. Go play some guitar. Bye-bye.